So okay, let us start. So last I've discussed about mainly on properties of most of the zodiacs and their nature, and also on planets, and also on the houses. So let us have a quick recap of that. So mainly that I've discussed yesterday that the sun that is responsible for mainly our immunity, the soul, confidence, and also because sun actually brightens the entire solar system. So that is why it is also responsible for our eyes. So, if someone has a weaker sun in that horoscope, or sun is placed in uh, first house, 12th house, or second house, the person is quite likely to have specs. So, this trend that I have seen in most of the charts, those person are quite likely to have specs. Also, it is responsible for your bone, uh, that the amount of bone density that you have, the toughness of your bone, how much strength it has, that also depends upon sun. So the practical idea is that most the major source of vitamin D in our body is through sun, and that also helps in absorption of calcium. So that is the reason why sun is considered to be one of the major significator of vitamin D, and at the same time the bone density that you have in your body, and also charm, your charisma, your personality, that is also shown through sun. So person having a good sun will be well known in the entire community, will have a lot of recognition, fame. And last year, I think you must remember that I have said that for fame, recognition, and all these things, uh, 10th house is actually considered. So 10th house is the house which actually responsible for all these things. And when sun comes to 10th house, that quality is very high. That quality is very good. So person with sun in the 10th house would be quite well known, and would be quite famous. This is what the particular trend I've seen. The best
You also
position for,
mentioned Mars, I think, is good in the
yeah,
10th
yeah,
house.
correct. Mars is also good, but among all, I would say Sun and Mars both, I would say, are very good. I won't compare that which one is better, because
Okay.
that depends upon the situation that it is. But you can say that Sun is very good. Sun works best out of all the 12 houses. Sun works best in 10th house, especially for moon. Moon, I would say, so like I said in the previous class, moon is significant of mother, your mind, and also like that most of the 70% of our body is actually made up of water, and water is actually uh, controlled by moon. So amount of the liquid content that we have in our body, so moon is responsible for that. And for that, moon is actually significant of our blood, the blood flow that we are having, and also all the milk products, the dairy products that we have, and anything that is associated with liquid is also associated with moon. Mercury, as I said, is mainly the surface level things that are there. Mm, the management, or communication, journalism, accounts, and mathematics is also one. But if you go in-depth mathematics like statistics, data science, probability, like deep concepts like this, then for in-depth analysis and outcome, Saturn is responsible.
Shani.
Saturn, correct. So for surface level things, Mercury, which is actually well known to everyone, for that Mercury. For in-depth calculation, or in-depth, I would say, concepts like any tough concept, you can say, like probability or coordinate geometry, something like that. Saturn is responsible for those things. Venus is anything related to glamour, anything related to beauty, and you can say, which actually makes which actually attracts the world. So that is associated with Venus. So like I've mentioned, music, acting, modeling, glamour world, beauty products, luxury products, all these things. And Mars is actually associated with something that is that comes in uniform. So military people in military are wearing a uniform, and police. Uh, so Mars is also associated with war, surgery. So surgery, I would say, is actually a bit of combination of both Mars and Saturn. So when you actually tear off or actually make a dissection, so actually you have to go in depth, and you have to be careful about that. So it is actually a combination of Saturn and Mars if it comes to surgery. Engineering also, so having a knowledge and having an application of engineering is something associated with Mars and Saturn both at the same time. Because it is also about in-depth analysis and also understanding about the uh, things before you actually make any construction or design anything. So for that, and for most of the engineers and most of the people who are good at mathematics or some logical thinking or something, I would say, in which you have to think out of the box, most of the cases I've seen that Mars and Saturn does have a conjunction, or they are actually having a relation with each other some way or the other. Even when I was in my engineering college, and I took as a case study for most of my batchmates, or I would say my friends, this trend I've found in most of the horoscopes, that Mars and Saturn does have a relation with each other. That does have I would say, any kind of aspect, a conjunction, or anything. So that actually helps you to have a actually I would say engineering oriented or a logical thinking oriented mind. Jupiter as a whole comes for wisdom, knowledge, teaching, preaching, and also for good hygiene. So people who you see as maintaining good hygiene, they are expected to have a good Jupiter in their horoscope. So all the people, even I've seen this, people who are having good Jupiter, well placed Jupiter in their horoscope, are actually uh, inclined towards good hygiene, and those who don't actually are quite rough and tough type, and doesn't bother about their hygiene too much. So, and as I said about Saturn, so unhygienic is also related to Saturn, because I'd say it is quite in-depth thing, and most of the sluggish part, or the actually junk, that is actually stored in the in-depth. At surface level, most of the situation seems quite good, but when you go at in-depth, you might find something very sluggish or something that you are not quite comfortable with. So Saturn is actually every in-depth. So everything that is associated with excavation or extracting something from Earth, that is associated with Saturn. A bit of farming is also, but farming not to that extent. Farming is also somewhat associated with Moon, because it is kind of a daily work that you have to do. So any kind of daily work that is associated with Moon, because Moon stays in a nakshatra only for a day. So all daily works are associated with Moon, but something that takes time to cultivate as a big cycle is actually associated with Saturn. Astrology is one of the stream that is purely Saturn based, has actually a pure implication with Saturn, and also bit of your eighth house. So eighth house also has the characteristics of Saturn. So whichever house comes with your eighth house, and the lord of that house will also have that ability, or also have that power to give that those results, and anything occult sign. So
So
you
that
would,
is irrespective of the Rashi that happens to be in the eighth house.
yeah, correct. So for example, let me say if there is a Aries ascendant or a Mesh Lagna, a person with Mesh Lagna. So
Okay.
eighth house would be Vrishchik, eight number.
Right.
So for
Okay.
him, his eighth lord would be Mars. So here Mars would also
Okay.
have the capability to give some in-depth analysis. Or if a Mars is having a control over his fifth house is actually his intelligence, his buddhi. So when in-depth
Okay.
analysis is associated with his buddhi or intelligence, then that person would be quite in-depth analysis oriented or logical thinking oriented. So that trend will be there. But at the same time, if that person also has a Saturn effect also in his fifth house, then that also. So Saturn is actually a natural significator of that. But as the ascendant keeps on changing, and that nature of eighth house can pass to the next lord as well. So if I consider the next ascendant, Taurus. So in Taurus, Sagittarius would come as the eighth house in eighth house, and then Jupiter will have the ability to give the result of in-depth analysis. But if I say Jupiter comes with that analysis, so Jupiter also has its natural significance. So that natural significance will merge with the uh, actually the responsibility that it is holding for that lagna. So eighth lord quality plus natural qualities of Jupiter will merge and give you the results. So this is how you have to make a prediction or have to make an analysis of the chart. So let me go to some other next slide. So these are the color that are associated with planets. Sun is actually associated with the golden or the royal, or actually what you see the color of sun. So that that is a color that is associated with sun. Moon is completely white, milk white actually I would say. Mercury is green. So it is said that if a person is having weak mercury, he is expected or is asked to have green vegetables, something which has green in color like cabbage or lady's finger. So these are the things that are associated with mercury and any especially spinach. Because it has a lot of iron, and mercury is also associated with your memory is a part of mercury, and for mercury the best food I think it is spinach. Venus is actually anything which is attractive. Mainly it is considered to be white, but not as white as moon. White with a shining surface or something which is quite attractive, that is associated with Venus. For Mars it is red blood red actually. So anything with that sort of redness is associated with Mars. Color that comes with sindoor or kumkum, that kind of redness. Jupiter is yellow, so anything like lemon, uh, banana. So these are the thing, these kind of color, the color that is associated with that. So that comes with Jupiter. For Saturn, it is entirely black. For some people say that it is also dark blue as well, because Neelam is one of the, or the blue sapphire is one of the gemstones that is associated with Saturn. So that is also said that it is one of the color that is associated with Saturn. But mainly for most of the people, they agree that Saturn has black color. So you must have heard about Shani Shignapur a few days back. So when you see the color of that stone that people worship, or that Shila is actually completely black. And also because uh, Saturn is associated with occult science and tantric vidya. So that was the main reason that women were not expected to enter that Shani Shignapur Dham, because uh, a body of a man and body of a female is completely different. Something which might suit a men might not suit for women, and that was the reason that if a woman associate herself with occult sciences and things like these, then who will manage the house? So for that reason it was said that uh, for women it should be restricted. Women shouldn't be allowed to enter that. For men, for some men, they can try for occult sciences because someone has to be associated with that, so that they can have a research on it. But for women, it was actually prohibited for some reasons, like a woman can expect a baby, and if she's practicing occult science, then it might actually affect her body, which might not be suitable for carrying a baby. So these were the main reasons. So it is nothing associated with a difference between. I have to create a difference, or a gender bias has to be there, not on the basis of that, but when women are not allowed to enter the Shani Dham, it was actually associated with a logical uh, part, or a logical sense that was associated with it. But people actually take it as a gender bias and make their own interpretation out of it, which is actually quite unfortunate. So let me move to another slide. So this was about planets and colors. So also, as I said, uh, these actually this won't be planet. This will be actually Rashi. So Rashis are actually associated with parts of your body. Houses are associated with parts of the body, but at the same time, Rashis are also a significator of that. So, for example, mm, Aries is associated with your head, Taurus with neck, and as you move, proceed towards the last to the preceding or the next Rashi, uh, the part of body also changes. So it's actually coming down from head to toe. So this is how it has been uh, actually segregated between different parts of Rashis. So this is quite self-explanatory. As you can see, I'm not going in much depth. So I will share this slide with you. You can read that in complete detail. So just a quick summary on this. So it starts with head, then comes down to neck, upper chest, shoulders, arm, hand. For cancer, for because it is a female associated sign, cancer, it is actually associated with chest and breast. For female, it would be breast because moon is the lord of cancer, and it is sort of feminism is associated with cancer. So cancer also has the nature of that moon. So when I'm saying nature, it is actually that moon actually is associated with caring nature, which caring or something like having a sweetheart, or having empathy for others. So these are the some nature that is associated with moon, and that also comes with the sign that moon is associated with. So cancer has also natural significance of it. So all feminist type of mothers type qualities are actually associated with cancer. So this is how it goes down. So 8,000, as I explained earlier, 8,000 is also of your private parts on genitals. So the same thing with Scorpio as well. Scorpio is also associated with in-depth analysis. Like it comes out to be the natural eighth house in the Zodiac series. So Scorpio has the natural ability of that eighth house, and it is also considered to be the house of in-depth analysis as well. Sagittarius is actually the ninth house, and ninth house, it is actually associated with dharma, your luck, your actually religious inclination. And good thing about this is that Jupiter, which is actually a significator of this, is actually ruler of Sagittarius. So you see, things are actually matching each other or getting in place in the right place. Capricorn is considered to be Karm Karak and knees. So anyone, if some person is having issues with knees or ankles, that is considered to be part of Saturn. So a weak Saturn or a afflicted Saturn, which actually can cause problem to knees or ankles. Then comes Pisces. So Pisces, fish. The sign is fish, and fish is always moving, on a move. And the same thing with feet. So feet is also designed to actually move. So this was it. Let me come to next part. So these are planets and these are the body parts that they are associated with. So few of the things that I have discussed earlier: sun with bone, right eye, sight, heart, stomach, and also your immunity. So, and also because your immunity comes from your digestion. So this is why stomach has also been written for sun. Moon for everything: mind, emotion, body fluids that you have, sense of taste, thing, blood flow. For Mars, muscles, yes, muscles, testicles, bone marrow, blood pressure. Yeah, blood pressure is also because people, for most of them, I've seen that Mars at a specific position actually is responsible for blood pressure and actually for hypertension as well. In most of the Manglik people I've seen, even among my relatives, that Mars actually placed in the 12th house or in 7th house and 4th house is actually is a major contributor towards blood pressure, high blood pressure, hypertension. Mercury, as I said, anything on the surface level, memory and intelligence as well, and also if you have to make an answer or make a response, make a reply, immediate reply, that quality comes with Mercury. So a person with good Mercury will have the good ability to negotiate, to actually communicate better, to actually respond something immediately. Venus is actually associated with all your sex organ, all your genitals, your beauty, your I would say, yeah, beauty, and at the same time your appeal to the opposite gender, that is associated with Venus. So Jupiter actually regulates fat in your body and mean significant. So person having a bad liver will be having an afflicted Jupiter. This trend I've seen in most of the charts. So people have seen with suffering from typhoid or as a consequence of that having weak liver. Uh, all that happened because of the weak Jupiter that they had, or afflicted Jupiter, or some way or the other. It was actually related with Jupiter. Saturn, anything with below your knees comes under Saturn, and also your nerves. So as I said, anything that is in depth in your body, like nerves, arteries, veins, these things are associated with Saturn. Surface level comes from Mercury. Uh, your strength, your muscular strength comes from Mars, and the inner depth of those arteries and veins comes with Saturn. So this is for starting from first house to the 12th house. This is exactly same for the things that we have discussed with Rashis. So this is exactly same. I'm not going in details. Now, most important, calculation of Ayanamsa. So you have any idea about what is Ayanamsa? Okay, so let me explain this. Ayanamsa is actually a very important concept and needs to be known. So let me open that Stellarium software and explain you. So what happens is, as you have seen earlier, there are quite a lot Ayamsha. Chitrapaksh Ayamsha, Raman Ayamsha, Fagan, KP, KP New Western Ayamsha. So Ayamsha is actually, I would say, the boundary mark of each and every Rashi. Boundary mark that has been associated with each and every Rashi, that has been segregated as Ayanamsa. So Chitrapaksh Ayanamsa has a particular boundary of or marking of boundary for its zodiac. Uh, Raman Ayanamsa is different from Chitrapaksh, slightly different, not completely, but they have their own boundary marking, or they feel that the length of the zodiac shouldn't be as suggested by Chitrapaksh Ayanamsa. It should be different. So Raman is actually one of the astrologer. He was in early 20th century. His entire name was B.V. Raman, and you might find a lot of book uh, uh, he actually authored, and has actually written. So he actually decided that Chitrapaksh, or the later Ayamsha or the previous Ayamsha that people were using, was not appropriate or not accurate. So he designed his own Ayamsha, and people who started following are actually follow this Raman Ayamsha. Fagan Ayamsha is also one of the Ayamsha, but I have never used it. Might be this could be the recent one. KP is actually Krishnamurti Paddhati. So Krishnamurti Paddhati, that was actually a stellar system. What happens is, in most of our analysis, we are taking actually the natural significance of the Rashi, the shape of the Rashi, the Lord that are associated with it, and also the nature of the Lord, like Venus. What is the nature of Venus? What is the nature of Mars? And on basis of that, we are making a prediction. But stellar system or Krishnamurti Paddhati works on a completely geometric system. So, if a planet is a certain angle or a certain coordinates, it actually makes a prediction on the coordinate basis. So for that, they have made a different AMSA. So KP AMSA is not much different from Chitrapaksh AMSA. Only I think 6 minutes of difference. So in the entire 360-degree line, only 6 minutes of difference. So 6 minutes would be quite be very small difference. So that small difference is there between KP and Chitrapaksha Ayamsa, but apart from that, more or less they make the same calculation. So among these Ayamsa, yeah, correct. Yeah, so it is 1 degree. So 1 degree, after that 1 minute, after that second. So that is how the marking comes. So it is a difference of 6 minutes. After degree comes minutes. It is actually a difference of 6 minutes that is there between Chitrapaksh and Ayamsa. Not even a degree. So that is a minute difference that is there between KP and Chitrapaksh Ayamsa. Uh, but the key question comes in. If I am asked to make a prediction on, I have been asked to make a calculation that I have to cast a horoscope and which Ayamsa I should be choosing. So my take on that is always use Chitrapaksh Ayamsa. Even if you're making the horoscope according to the KP system or Krishnamurti Paddhati, even then I would suggest you to do as per Chitrapaksh Ayamsa, because in my experience I have understood that Chitrapaksh Ayamsa is the most accurate. So Chitrapaksh, at sometimes it is called Lahari also. So don't get confused if someone says Lahari. So Lahari and Chitrapaksh are both same. So if someone has to ask me that which Ayamsa should I choose, I would always recommend Chitrapaksh Ayamsa. It gives the most accurate results, most accurate. A KP is actually a bit off, or there is slight difference, and actually I've made a prediction based on all the Ayamsa, and I find that Chitrapaksh suits best. It works best. Lahiri Amsha works best. So uh, I won't recommend if someone is using KP or Raman Amsha to move to Chitrapaksh, because uh, when they have experienced in astrology, or they have practiced some with some charts, so it might be their experience that they have got more better results with Raman Amsha or KP Amsha. So that is why I don't recommend to them. But for me, for number of charts that I've seen so far, or number of analysis that I've made, Chitrapaksh works best for me. So that is the only reason. So if someone is beginning his astrology career, so I would suggest that try out a same chart with different Ayamsha, try to make prediction and try to make a conclusion that which Ayamsha makes the best prediction or cast the horoscope in the best possible way. I would actually recommend them to do this experiment themselves, and they will understand that what it is actually or which Ayamsha suits the best. So Chitrapaksha Ayamsha or Lahiri Ayamsha works best. This is my personal take. People are free to have their own opinion. And also Rahu's position, mean position and true position. So let me explain this something. This actually is also a very important thing. So currently near Vishakha, moon is near Vishakha, and I have to move it a bit forward. So just notice the trajectory or the motion of moon. So the motion of moon would be not. It would be like it is moving in a straight line or a slant line. It will be actually moving like this. A curvature type movement would be there, something like this. So the position of Rahu and Ketu is actually a bit slightly varying. So let me explain you. So see, first it was going down, then it was slightly moving up. Just observe it carefully, very carefully. Moving down, then bit upward, uh, now steady, then again down, then bit steady, then again upward, and then again down. So as you can see, it was not in a complete straight line. It was actually something like this, right? So that is actually called the mean position and true position because Rahu's that position complete actually fluctuates a bit. So this is actually Ketu. It was actually moving down. So definition of Ketu, we know that if moon comes down and that point of intersection, that is called Ketu. So Ketu and Rahu actually both are actually opposite to each other. So it would be same. So it was actually fluctuating a bit. It was not steady. So there comes the concept of mean position and true position. So mean position is actually I know that Rahu takes completely 18 years to make a complete revolution, and same for Ketu. So that 18 years is divided into 12 zodiacs, and accordingly I decide that where should be the position of Rahu and Ketu. So that comes for mean position. For true position is actually like you have just seen. The true position actually keeps on fluctuating a bit. As it was varying, it keeps on fluctuating a bit on day-to-day time. So that fluctuation is quite minor, actually, few minutes or few degrees, not more than that. But still, there is a fluctuation. So astrologers make Rahu's position actually by mean position or true position. My take on this is always take true position. True position gives you more accurate results than mean position. But this is my personal take. This is what I have understood so far. And people who have their own opinion can make their own call, or who are more experienced can make their own call. But this is my personal opinion that true position of Rahu gives better accurate results.
So one question here.
Yeah.
So the what you're saying, like it the position of Rahu changes. So this
Mhm.
would most probably be happening towards the end of the Rashi, right? When Rahu is going to exit a particular Rashi,
No, no, no,
or
no, not certainly. It will. It can happen anytime, at any moment. Let me
okay,
explain.
it can happen even when it is in the middle also.
Correct, correct. So let me explain you in a better way. So see, degrees of. Let me change this chart. Sri Lanka, North Indian. So just see the position of Rahu and current position. This is at the birth time. That means today's position. This is actually the today's birth time position, and this will be on move. So let me change the time and let me understand that how Rahu and Ketu should be moving. So every other planet will be having a steady increase in their degrees, but Rahu and Ketu will shuffle a bit. So let us observe and see how it moves. So I'm keeping it on daily. So just check the degrees of Rahu. Sorry. It is 24th now. So just current position. Have a look here. 29 degree 33 minutes. Let's see how it proceeds. Just remember that we started at 29 degree 33 minutes. So it is going less, low, low. Then again it has increased. Just see. It was at 18. It has moved to 16. It has moved down to 15. Now again it has increased to 16. Again 17, 18, 19. Then again down. So there is a bit of shuffling in the position of Rahu, like I've explained you in the Stellarium software, right? So this is how it has been. So here I have mentioned it for a true position of Rahu. That is why you can see the shuffle in the degrees. If you mention mean position, it will be steady. So as per what I have observed in calculation of position of Rahu and Ketu, true position gives better results than mean position. So it is up to the astrologer or the person who is practicing which position he finds more suitable or better for his predictions.
So is it possible that within like with mean position, Rahu will be in one Rashi for 1.5 years, but with if we have set it to true position, is it possible that it could be in the next Rashi
Correct, correct, correct.
while
Yeah,
it
it
is
has, it
going up and
is.
down?
So what actually happened is, let me show you here. So Rahu was, yeah. So Rahu was in Leo Rashi before this. So it has come down to Cancer or Kark Rashi. It was in Singh Rashi and it has changed the sign on 10th of September, if I remember correctly. So the astrologers who were following the mean position, for them Rahu has made the transition to Cancer sign on 18th of August. And for those like me, I was following the true position. True position has made a transition on 10th of September. So let me show you. Let me go back to 10th of September. Here it is 7th of October. Let me go back to 10th of September. Oh, actually it was 8th. So yeah, 8th. So 8th it is 0 degree in Singh Rashi, and now it will, if I move a step ahead, it will move to this Cancer Kark Rashi now. So this was for true position of Rahu. If I would have taken mean position, let me change this and take mean position. Okay, transit. So if I go back daily, so changes in the degree of Rahu and Ketu are steady. They are not fluctuating now. So see, Rahu here is moved on 18th of August. If I made for it for mean position, true position has moved on 8th of September and mean position has moved on 18th of August. So this is the difference between mainly mean position and true position. So this was it. And now the last thing for today is Vimshottri Dasha, how it is calculated and how it is set to be having an implication. So any idea how Vimshottri Dasha is calculated? Okay. So one thing that I have so second day session, let me go back to this. So you remember there was a nakshatra series that we have covered earlier, right? So first nakshatra comes out to be Ketu, and then Venus, Sun, so on. So if a person if he is born in a nakshatra of Ketu, then he will be going through Ketu Mahadasha during his birth time. If he is born in Venus Dasha, Venus Nakshatra, then he will be going through Venus Mahadasha during his birth time. So look at here. Here moon is in Vishaka Nakshatra, which is ruled by Jupiter. So I've taken the time to be or the date as 24th of September today and 5:15. Sorry, 10:15. And moon, as I said, is in Jupiter Nakshatra. So the Mahadasha that the person is going through is Jupiter Mahadasha during his birth. So this software is saying that his Jupiter Mahadasha would have started in 2012, but he's born today. The person is born today, and this part of Jupiter Mahadasha is actually over. So let me explain this concept as well. So this is Dasha. So what happens is every nakshatra is given 23 degree and 20 minutes. Yeah. So this is the length that each and every nakshatra has been provided. And suppose if I am born with 00 degrees, then I will be born at the same time when Ketu Mahadasha had started. So for example here, you can see a part of Jupiter Mahadasha has already been covered up. Mm. This is the reason because he was born a bit later. So let me check. It is 24 degrees. So Vishaka Nakshatra, I think it starts uh, Swatis. I think it starts a bit earlier, either at 20. I'm not sure completely. So let me check. Jupiter is in Chitra. Chitra ends at 3 degree, and after that Swati starts. Swati is in ends at 16 or 17, 16 degrees. So yeah, so moon has covered in Vishakha Nakshatra somewhere around 8 degrees, and some 5-4 degrees are still remaining. So for that reason, or I think a bit more than that, I'm miscalculating a bit. So that is how it is calculated. So let's say Ketu Mahadasha is for 7 years. Okay, and Ketu for so Ketu has 3 nakshatras mainly. I'm considering only Ashwini. So for Ashwini, the length is from 0 degree to 13 degree and 20 minutes. So this is the length. Now let's say for example, if I am born at somewhere like 7 degrees, So a part of this nakshatra has already passed out. So what is remaining? So 7 minus 13.20, 13 degree 20 minutes. That will be the remaining part will be 5 degree and 20 minutes. So this is the remaining part. And how much I have now? So 5.33 divided by 13.33. So this is the fraction of nakshatra that is remaining. And now what I have to do, I have to multiply this with 7. So this many years of Ketu Mahadasha is remaining for me. So this is how it is calculated that what would be my dasha at the time of birth and how much dasha part is left for me. So I think it is a bit complex, but by the time as the time progresses, you will understand. So let's say if I'm born in Ketu, I've given the example of Ashwini Nakshatra. I'm born in Ashwini Nakshatra with Ketu as the Lord. So my starting Mahadasha will be for Ketu. And what would be the duration of that Ketu Mahadasha that I have said? Similarly, for if I'm born in Bharni, I will start my Dasha with Venus and it will proceed so on. So let me explain what is the cycle and how it is so. So first it starts with Ketu, then Venus, then Sun, then Moon, then Mars, then Rahu, then Jupiter, then Saturn, then Mercury, and then again Ketu. So length of Mahadasha of each of the planets. This has so I'm mentioning years at the top. Years, 20 years. Sun is for 6 years. Moon is for 10 years. Mars is for 7 years. Rahu is for 18 years. Jupiter is for 16 years. Saturn is for 19 years, and Mercury is for 17 years. Yeah. And if you add all of them, it comes out to be 120 years. So if I add them all, it comes out to be 120 years. So this is how the series of this is. So if you have a look here, Jupiter Dasha is actually of 16 years here. It starts from so and so date and continues till 16 years. And let's say if I was born on some other Dasha, so let me move the position of Moon. Let's say if I was born the next day. So now I'm taking birth in the Saturn Dasha, and Saturn Dasha is for 19 years. The balance of that Dasha, which I wasn't part of or which is already passed, is calculated before 2017, the current date, and the remaining part of the Dasha that I will be going through. So this is how it is calculated. And after my Saturn Dasha, I will get Mercury Dasha, which will be for next 17 years. So starting from 32 till 49, it is 17 years. Then Ketu was for 7 years, as I said earlier. So Ketu will be 7 years here, 49 to 56. Then again comes Venus Dasha. Venus will be for 20 years. So from 56 to 76. So this is how the cycle of Dasha is. All of them adds up to 120 years. Now, few of the astrologers don't believe
So
that.
you just mentioned
Yeah.
Venus is from 56 to 76, but the date is showing us differently. Can you just go back to that?
Okay.
Yeah,
Here,
so it is saying from 56 to 59. What does this mean?
56 to. Oh, okay. This part you're saying.
Yeah,
Okay. So this is the entire Mahadasha, and sub part is called Antardasha.
okay.
Okay. So this is like a big. thing. So let me somehow explain in this way. Uh,
It's fine if you want to cover it up in the next coming up sections if
so
it's
this is
a
the
big
only
topic.
last thing I'm covering today. Uh, I will cover the next thing. So this is
Okay,
not a circle, but suppose something like this. So this covers the entire Mahadasha. The Antardasha will be a cycle uh, smaller to this.
okay,
Then after Antardasha there is Pratantardasha. Will be a cycle which is smaller to this.
okay,
After Antar Pratantar, then Sukshma Dasha, which have dasha system smaller than this. Then after Sukshma comes Pran
okay,
Dasha, and infinitely to so on, so on. So this is like a cycle. So a bigger cycle, in that a smaller cycle, then a smaller cycle, then a smaller cycle, and something like that. So this is actually the cycle of dashas and antardasha. So let me delete this. So what happens is, let's say I'm starting with Ketu dasha. So the first antardasha will be uh, Ketu Ketu. So this is, if I'm saying Mahadasha, this is my Antardasha. So Mahadasha will be Ketu and Antardasha will be of now Venus, because Venus is next in the series. Mahadasha is of Ketu, Antardasha will be of Sun, and so on. So if I take this, so and so see it's something like this. So Mahadasha of Ketu continues for 7 years, and this has Antardasha of Ketu, and it will for some time. So now intuitively try to calculate what will be the Antardasha period for Ketu. So Mahadasha, I know this entirely goes for 7 years. What will be the time period for Antardasha? Just try to think. Okay, 7/9. No, okay, let me explain. So this will be. Hmm, so here the entire period is 120 years, and now here the entire period is of 7 years. So that fraction. So in entire 120 years, Ketu has
okay,
only part of 7 years. So my fraction would become
okay, okay.
7 divided by 120. And now I have to multiply it with 7 years actually. Yeah, 7. So this is actually number of years. So let me do it like this. So just to have a better explanation, 7 divided by 120, 7 divided by, and this will be equal to into 7. So let me drop it down. Okay, now this to be fixed. Okay, uh, won't be like this. So it was 7 divided by 120, and this will be into, so this into this. So let me take it down. Let me also take this down, and let me calculate the sum of all of them. So this comes out to be 7. So this 7 is actually the entire 7 years of Ketu Mahadasha, and out of that 7 years, this much fraction is associated or actually dedicated to Ketu Antardasha. Then this much part is dedicated to Venus Antardasha, and so on, like you can see. And inside this
So this is the
Antardasha,
number of years for each
yeah,
Antardasha.
yeah, these are all in years. You can say here
Okay.
in years. And we have to make a calculation to transform into months and days.
Okay.
So this is how typically it works. So Antardasha, now inside that Antardasha there will be a Pratantar Dasha, Pran Dasha, Sukshma Dasha. So if I show you here, so I have Antardasha. Now if I go to Pratyantar Dasha, Venus, Venus and Venus. So inside that there is an entire same cycle that goes on. Then again if I go to Sukshma Dasha, then again Venus, Venus, Venus and entire the same cycle. So this is how that
Okay.
cycle is calculated. Okay.
So basically, Ketu has an Antardasha of Venus, and then the Antardasha of Venus will be having the next step again. That's what we are looking at,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, correct. So let's
And
say,
this goes on recursively.
yeah, it goes on recursively like this, and the same cycle that how I explained. So once the cycle ends up, so once Ketu Mahadasha starts and Ketu, it will be first, then Ketu Venus. Then when Ketu Mercury comes, then entire Dasha is over, and after that, what starts is Venus, Venus, Venus Mahadasha with
Venus. Okay.
Venus Mahadasha with Venus Antardasha, and next will be Sun Antardasha, and then next will be Moon
Okay.
Antardasha, and after that, similarly, all other planets will come up. So first, Antardasha of the
Okay.
Antardasha will be same as the Mahadasha, Lord. So both will be same, and this is how the cycle will go on. So here, if I show you, so it started with Saturn Mahadasha, started with Saturn. So, okay, let me make explain it better. So let's say the person was born in Saturn Mahadasha. So first of all, Saturn started. Then Saturn, Mercury, Ketu, Venus, and so on. So this is what in Saturn the Mahadasha, Saturn Antardasha. These are the Pratantar Dasha and their time period. That how long it will go on.
Okay.
And now it is for Sukshma Dasha. Saturn Mahadasha, Antardasha, Pratantar Dasha, and these are the Sukshma Dasha and how long they will go on. And now this is Pran Dasha. In all the series, what would be the duration of Pran Dasha? So
Okay.
this is how it is. Now next will be Mercury. So Mercury will start with Mercury, and then Mercury Mahadasha, Antardasha, and then Sukshma Dasha. Then similarly Pran Dasha and so on. So this is how it is calculated. So first of all, first thing that needs to be mind that in which nakshatra he is born, what is the balance that is remaining of that nakshatra, and on basis of that I have to calculate that how many years of that dasha that he has to go through, and on that basis I will actually multiply what would be his current dasha that he is going through. So this is how the concept of dasha comes into picture, and after calculating it, we actually have a simpler method to actually make a prediction that what time he will be going through, and what would be the phase that he will be having, a good phase or a bad phase.
Okay. So how do we use these dashas in our predictions? Like, is it uh, how do we decide whether it's a good thing or bad thing? You'll be telling that later, or
Yeah, so when I will be taking case studies, so on that I will be discussing on Mahadasha, that how it works, how a particular
okay,
event actually happens in a particular dasha or the particular time period. So these are the thing that I will be
okay, fine.
coming up with in when I will be taking some case studies. So for now, just to explain that how Vimshottri Dasha is calculated. So Vimshottri Dasha is actually one part of the Dasha. There are also many parts like Chara Dasha, Yogini Dasha, but 90% of the prediction is made through Vimshottri Dasha, and it is accepted by all the other astrologers. Few astrologers who take into consideration other dashas as well, like Chara Dasha, Yogini Dasha, so for them there are different methods as well. But at the moment we will learn about Vimshottri Dasha, and we will try to calculate and make a prediction only on basis of this. So this is it for today, and this is all about the nature of the planets, the sign, Ayamsha, which Ayamsha to choose, what is true position and mean position, and also what is Vimshottri Dasha. So that's all for today. Thanks for being so patient.